and welcome to Jesus Christ Prison Ministry and another video Bible study. Our topic, Psalms 15. Lord, who may dwell in your sanctuary? Who may live on your holy hill? Isn't that the question? Isn't that what everybody's asking? Whether you're Islamic, Buddhist, Christian, it doesn't matter. Everybody wants to know who has eternal life. Is there such a thing? Who can dwell with God? And what's the answer? He whose walk is blameless and who does what is righteous. He whose walk is blameless. Jesus said in Matthew 5:48, "Be perfect, therefore, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." In John 5:14, "Go and sin no more." Stop sinning, or something worse will happen to you. Throughout the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, when man first sinned and was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, the whole concept has been, who can dwell with God? Only those that have the character of God. God cannot live where there is sin. He kicked sin out of the garden. He kicked sin out of heaven. Only sinless, perfect, righteous people can go to heaven. But you say, but we've all sinned. You're right. We have all sinned. Have. But now, if we come to Jesus and look to Him in faith, if we accept His sacrifice for our past sins, He died to take the penalty for the sins that we are to die for. But if we accept Jesus into our heart, that means we also have to accept His teachings, His way of living. That's why He says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." We're to follow His perfect example. We're to listen to His teachings that tell us to live perfectly in order to receive that perfect life. And so, even in the Old Testament, even David, he knew, he whose walk is blameless and who does what is right, who speaks the truth from his heart and has no slander on his tongue, who does his neighbor no wrong and casts no slur on his fellow man, who despises a vile man, but honors those who fear the Lord, who keeps his oath even when it hurts, who lends his money without usury, and does not accept a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things will never be shaken. He who has no slander on his tongue. You know, our churches are no longer places for God. They're no longer holy. They're no longer places where people can come and learn how to live the righteous, holy life to prepare for heaven. They're just country clubs. And all they're doing is allowing sinners to continue in sin and to feel comfortable. A lot of slandering going on. A lot of doing wrong to our neighbors and casting slurs and despising. But we are not despising the sin in our lives. In fact, the mass media today, the world, they're holding up vile men. They're holding up sinners. They're honoring them and respecting them, while the good people are being trodden down and hated, destroyed. But someday, even the world, says the Bible, will get tired of that and will rise up, and they will put an end to the so-called wickedness of the world. The terrorists, the terrorism, the evil man, the sinners that the world considers sin. And then they will turn against us. Those of us who obey God perfectly. Because they refuse to obey God perfectly. They can't stand the gross sins. But when it comes down to specifically obeying God and His 10 Commandments, we will be hated, hunted, and killed. But Jesus says, rejoice when we are persecuted. And that's the problem in our churches today. People are Christians, not because they want to change their lives and become like Jesus, but because they can sin and it's okay. There's no persecution anymore to keep the false Christians out. Let persecution return, and we'll see how many people have a heart that is true. What does it say here? Who speaks the truth from his heart. People speak the truth when it's convenient. But how many speak the truth from the heart when it's not convenient, just because it is right? I pray today that you will meditate on these, that you will fill your heart with the perfection of Jesus, and that you will walk in His righteousness and holiness, that you will be blameless today, and God will walk with you. Thank you for joining me and Jesus Christ for another video Bible study.